Hey, it's the Personal Development Unplugged podcast, and today we are talking about the thing that happens to us all, especially me. And it's about struggling with a project, struggling with something you want to do. It's all about just struggling and how to stop, how to find ways to get your momentum going, to get your motivation going, to actually start to achieve the things that you want to do and you've been putting off. So if that's for you, come and join me, Paul Cloughie. Let's end that struggling together.
Warning.
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 Warning. You are entering into the unplugged mind of Paul Cloughie. Too late. Personal Development Unplugged.
Hey, so, we're back again, you and I. Just to have a chat again, I guess. And what I wanted to chat to you about today was, I was reflecting because the other day I did a Q&A webinar for my son's coaching courses. And I wanted to talk to those people about struggling because on a personal level, I was beginning to struggle on this third blooming lockdown. And I was struggling a little bit with, you can call it your own mental health. But one of the things that was affecting me was the things I wanted to do in this period of time when people say this is ripe to get your creativity going. This is ripe to do all the things you want to do. This is get your goals started. And I was finding that I had a severe lack of progress. Have you experienced that? I mean, you being here, Personal Development Unplugged podcast, I'm guessing, well, I know, you're here to improve yourself, self-improvement, learn, do stuff, throw some of the stuff I say away, adapt it, do whatever, but you're here with an intention to, create a better life for you and create a better way of living, I guess, the way you feel, the way you see things, and the way you achieve and create your dreams. And I was struggling, and I wanted to share this. So we're all working on stuff. I've got various projects in my head and my books, and I've also got some things that I want to go back to. And I want to improve upon interests I've had in the past, which I think this is ideal. And the thing is, it wasn't. I think it's starting to move now because of this thought I had. First of all, the thought about composing or getting some notes ready for this webinar. That got my head in order a little bit. And then talking it out loud, which always helps, by the way. When you talk something through out loud, even to yourself, which is what I'm doing now with you. You just get to teach yourself a little bit better of what you know and what you don't know, and then you get some thoughts going. So I took those notes and I started talking. And basically what I shared was things weren't just happening for me. Some things weren't going fast enough. Some things were just dormant. And I really wanted to get them moving. And I was thinking, well, what do I do? Do I know what to do next? And when I thought about that, I thought there's probably a lot of people that don't know what to do next. Because if I'm struggling and I've got all these blooming tools inside me, I've got all these protocols, these skills that I've supposedly learned over the last 20 odd years. And now I'm struggling. So what can I do to share? What can I do to change the way I'm struggling into a non-struggle? And what can I do to help you? So I thought about it, did the webinar, and then I thought again, what can we do? So one of the things I think we need to do first, first of all, I think we just acknowledge the way we're feeling. And we'll get into real feelings a little bit later because I want to give you, I thought 5 little ways of what we can do. 5 little ways. And I'm sure there's loads more. But these 5 little keys will, I think, certainly do something to get you moving forward. Certainly, if nothing else, to get you thinking there are at least 5 different options. So that's where we're going today. So first of all, though, before those 5 keys, this isn't one of them. This is what we should, I think, always do. Just notice what we are feeling. Acknowledge it. Don't push it away. Don't necessarily accept it. I don't like the word acceptance on when we've got any negative feelings around or we're not happy with what we're doing. But acknowledge it. Just acknowledge, this is where I am. This is where I am. This is how I'm feeling. This is, well, what's the next step? Because that was the very first thing. The first step I thought of was stop and pause. What? Yeah, if you just stop and pause, you can obviously take that time to acknowledge how you're feeling. But if you're in a particular, in a negative mood, as it were, just stopping for a moment, saying, that's it, I'm going to stop. I'm going to take a breath. I'm going to pause. Just like that. That's a mini pattern interruption. A break state. Because you're breaking your state from where you were to just stopping and going, just a breath. Now you might think, well, that's really, really simple, Cloughie. We could do that anytime. And absolutely you could. And you can. Because the whole point of this is how many times you do that, though. I know I wasn't. I was just going, and I was getting overwhelmed, basically, which is where my struggle was coming from, because I was looking at all the things that weren't moving as fast as I wanted to. All those things. And I just got that, one was like, I could deal with 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5. Too much. And then I stopped and paused. And it was like letting, as long as you don't get stagnant, this is the part of this metaphor that I have trouble with. When if you've got water and it's a bit muddy and you just stop for a moment, it'll just slowly get clearer. If you've ever got a bottle of apple cider vinegar, which I drink on a daily basis, but it's always cloudy, and then you put it down, and over a period of time, things just get clearer. Just don't want to shake it around a little bit. So just stopping and pausing will, it'll change things. But then I thought to myself, what can we do differently? Stopping and pausing is one thing. That is a pattern interruption. It is a break state. But I want to do something even more. So I thought about, in the NLP communication model, which we've talked about quite a few times, you have an event on the outside, you filter it through all your senses, and you also filter it through all your attitudes, your beliefs, your experiences, and you distort it and you delete it and you generalize just to make sense of the world. But here's the thing. Once it comes inside, you have an internal representation. It's like the pictures you make in your mind. Sometimes you don't even realize you're making them, but they're there. I always imagine them as being like a little movie screen on my forehead that I can see on the inside, and everything plays out. And it's got sound. It's got brilliant sound sometimes. And it's even got a little voice of mine or other people on the side chipping in. Sometimes they're chipping in and going, yay. And other ones you're going, oh, Cloughie, what have you done now? That type of thing. You've got it. We've all got it, haven't we? So you've got this, imagine that at the top, the internal representation. And just below that, if you can imagine like a little, like one of those DNA patterns coming down, intertwined into your state, your emotion. Because that internal representation that you've made from that outside event, filtered it all down, you've made that picture, and as that picture comes into some type of clarity, it will affect your emotion. You see something, your emotion changes, that picture is attached to it. So I was thinking, well, that's interlinked to that. And also, that state, that emotion, is attached in that lovely, funny helix curve, or not helix curve, helix chain, to your physiology. And when you put them all together, you have a behaviour. And I thought to myself, and I know this for a fact, you change any one of those three, and the other two have to change too. So if you change the pictures in your mind, your emotions will change. That's obvious, isn't it? And therefore your physiology will change. This all are flashes of the bleeding obvious. But here's the thing. And we've talked about it a few times, and if you go, I can't remember what it is, but when you go way back into one of the 5-minute quickies, we talked about being Superman, or imagining you're Superman, imagining changing your physiology as if you were walking around with an invisible cape on. And just doing that would change your state, and just doing that would change the way you're pitching things. I want to say that again, picturing things in your mind. So I thought, well, that's one of the answers. Stopping and pausing is one, because you are changing your physiology and you're taking a deep breath. That's going to change your state slightly, and it's going to just a little bit redo that internal representation. But here's the thing. Do something different. Go for a walk. Do something physical. So we start to the bottom of that chain. We're, in fact, in some ways, having a different behavior through a different physiology. Physical. So whether it's walking, whether it's meditating, whether it's having a jog, maybe it's doing a few press-ups, a sit-up, anything. Do something physical, because when you do that, your mind goes into a different way. Synaptic gaps start firing all over the place. Different chemicals start oozing everywhere. And you start to feel different. And when you start to feel different, that picture changes. And when that picture changes because you're in a different state, you can begin to see a different way. You can start to think of a different way. You can start to, in some ways, just see the things for what they are, because we've acknowledged it. And then you can start doing things in the way that you can say, well, which one's the most important? Look at your values around them. All those different things. But by being in a different state, because you changed your physiology, you had that pattern interrupt, you're now in a different place. Now, when you're in a different place, you start thinking, what you could do, this is the second part of this, you could also realize that this may be just a plateau. We've talked about it before, plateaus. Because what happens is we learn, we do lots of good stuff, and when things are really going hell for leather because we're so excited about this new thing, and we're learning and doing things and achieving things, and then it's as if our unconscious mind just stops for a moment and tries to sometimes integrate what we've learnt, or is just trying to settle down, and sometimes thinks, actually, this is good enough. And we know it isn't. We've talked about that. That it's that'll do. And we don't have that'll do anymore. That's that previous podcast we've done, the 5-minute quickie, that'll do. Sometimes we just leave things alone. But if we just wait, realizing this is just a plateau, and going, actually, I'm going to give my unconscious mind time to just like defrag, put things in place, integrate these learnings. And I'm just going to start thinking in a different way of what I want to do next, where I want to go, what is my goal. So while you're letting your unconscious mind sort through all the things you've learned so fast, putting them in order so you've got this lovely springboard to the next level, the next plateau as it were, you can start putting in those goals, those targets, where you're going to go, because you don't need to know the how. And again, maybe doing that with a little bit of change of your physiology, because some of the greatest ideas and thoughts come from when you're just going out for a walk. I was talking to my eldest son the other day about a book that we've both read about rituals. Can't remember the name of it, and if I can, I'll put it in the show notes, episode notes. I do love the word show notes. And we found, both of us, as we were reading it, most people do some really good work and then they have a break. They go out and do a walk. Most people just walk for half an hour. I'll tell you about my walk another day because I had a great experience just yesterday. But that's another 5-minute quickie walk. But just going out for a walk, allowing things to settle, and suddenly intuition happens because your unconscious mind says, right, I'm ready to go. So we've stopped, we've paused. I'm just refreshing now. We've stopped, we've paused, we've taken a breath. We've decided we're going to do something completely different. Change our physiology, do something physical. And then we've also just considered this could be a plateau. Because if it's just a plateau, we can wait for a moment or two, a day, half a day, and we'll just get on with other things, waiting for things to settle. That would be awesome, wouldn't it? But then you might consider, well, actually, I don't think it is a plateau because I'm really confused about this. And it's not just a little bit of confusion, because confusion, again, is on that plateau side. It means your unconscious mind has everything it needs. It just needs to put it in order. Because we always say in our trainings, when you have that state of confusion, it just means the next part of it, you're going to just suddenly get. It's when the aha moments suddenly come with that lovely flash of brilliance. You suddenly get it. And that's that confusion suddenly changed to, I truly understand this. And it's such a big jump, but it's all inside you. But that big jump feels so wonderful. But the other thing is, it might not be confusion, or it might be overwhelmed confusion and it's putting you off. Or it could be that you're frustrated about this. I was frustrated. I was getting angry. And what happens is if you get frustrated about one particular area of your life, what happens? Well, it tends to migrate, doesn't it? We say here, I don't know where I got it from, but we don't know how far the ripples of change go. And if this could be negative change and positive change, but we do know they carry on going. So you change in one area of your life, the positive way, everything changes positively. But if you've got this negative stuff, you've got to be careful that it doesn't leak out into different contexts. So, you're frustrated about this over here. We've all done this, haven't we? Or is it just me? I'm frustrated over here. Somebody says something and I snap at them. And they, maybe in their life, have got something going on and they snap back. And you have an argument. And you're going, well, when you stop having the argument and you sit back and pause and stop, you go, what the hell was that about? There was nothing in that at all. But it was created over here. So it could be frustration, could be anger. It could be even, a limiting belief which comes with that frustration, that anger. I just can't do that. Maybe, that imposter serum. I don't know where I'm going. I do know where I'm going. I do. But that imposter syndrome, Paul, get it right, Cloughie. So you could have all those limiting beliefs around that, which is like intertwined with frustration, anger, maybe sadness, maybe some guilt. I shouldn't be able to do this. I'm not entitled to do this. What, am I any better than anybody else to learn this? Or why am I moving away from? Sometimes it can be family things. It's like the tall poppy syndrome. As your head comes up above the surface, we suddenly either cut ourselves down, or other people do too sometimes to hold us back. But that's another thing. But there's all this stuff going on. Now, a simple way of doing this, and I did it for myself, and I did it while I was doing some gardening, while I was thinking about this for that webinar. I thought to myself, well, I'm getting a little bit frustrated, and I'm getting a little bit confused. I was confused in the way that I couldn't work it out, and I should be able to, and we should all over ourselves. We know when we open the fridge, we should eat that healthy stuff, but that cake is there. Ooh. We open the drawer and that biscuit, I know I should take that water biscuit, but that chocolate cookie. Anyway, maybe, again, that's just me and I'm sharing. But I was thinking, we have a thing in NLP called submodalities, changing submodalities. What the hell's that, Cloughie? Well, if you're not into NLP, I do suggest you get into NLP because it's awesome. But No, but and. Basically, very, very basically, when you think of something, you generally, and I'm going to say generally have a picture of it in your mind. And some people think it's in their mind, but when you notice it, it's as if it's outside of your body. It's, when you think of somebody that you love, maybe they're right in front of you. That picture of them is right in front of you. Maybe it's a picture of someone you're not so much into. Well, you may find them they're smaller, but over to the left or to the right or up there. All these different things. When you think of food and there's something you really hate, maybe that's right there, just over there. And the things you maybe really like, they're bigger, they're brighter, and they're up on the right-hand side. I don't know. All these different things. But just imagine this. What I did was I thought to myself, what is this picture I'm making about this frustration, this feeling confused? And it was, in my mind, just down to the left. And it was quite small. And I think that was it. Because it was so small and dark, that's where I couldn't see clearly. If you put that type of metaphor on it, I'm storing it in a place where I can't see things clearly. But it was there. And I thought to myself, well, what am I not confused about? And I thought, well, I love hypnosis. By the time this is out, this episode out, I think I'll have just gone through 21 years from the day I started on my first ever training, being a master hypnotist and then carrying on and still loving it. And I'm never confused about it. Sometimes I don't understand things and I know that I'll look even deeper and I'll find a way, because I use the protocols and the mind maps and all those things to understand different processes and see where they come from and what they're doing and how they're working. So I'm never really confused about it. I just get more and more curious. And I thought to myself, well, what is the type of picture that I make in my mind when I think of just hypnosis and my love for hypnosis? And it was like a panoramic, wrapped around, big and bright. No particular picture in mind, but it was just a lovely wall of colour and loveliness and feelings and sounds, and it was just there. And when I thought of that, I feel so good about it. And what we do when we change submodalities, what we do is we go, okay, I know the qualities of that place that I really like, that thing I'm not confused about. This is on confusion. Okay, I'm just going to let that disappear out of my mind for the moment, and I'm going to remember that thing that I'm confused about, frustrated about, a little bit angry about. Maybe have that limiting belief that I really shouldn't be doing this stuff. I'm not good enough. I don't deserve it. And what you do is, and what I did was, I took that picture and physically, if you can physically take a picture that is out there, and I pushed it really fast into the area of where that massive panorama or panoramic picture was. And I made it panoramic, and I made it the same qualities. The brightness, the feelings were just the same. The sounds were so clear. And I felt, actually, I'm curious now. If I look at each one of those, I'm sure I can find a way. And it was literally that fast. Where was the frustration? Disappeared. I got curious. Where was the anger? There was no anger there now because I was excited. Limiting belief of, I don't deserve any of that. That went because I just knew the belief was something's good's going to come out of this. Now, that's number 3. That's a massive one. And all you're doing is changing the pictures in your mind. And what did we say when we did that stopping and pausing? If you change the pictures in your mind, your state changes, your physiology changes, and your behaviours change. And mine did. That's awesome. It's a lovely process. So that's changing your submodalities, changing the pictures in your mind, or outside your mind as they were. So you might have to rewind that and go through, but effectively, just to recap what you're doing. What am I thinking about that's causing me frustration and anger? And when I think about that, do I have a picture? And where is it? Oh, it's over there. What are the qualities? Oh, it's small, it's big, it's dark. There's not much sound there. Oh, I feel a bit angry, I feel a bit frustrated, or whatever it is for you. And there's a little belief in there going, whatever it is. And then you go, okay, what am I not confused about? What do I have complete clarity of? And you go, what are the qualities of that picture? Or do I have a picture? And if I did, what are the qualities? And you notice its location, its size, any sounds attached to it, whether it's a still picture, a movie picture, is it black and white? All those different things, but you'll notice that in an instant. And what are the feelings that go with it? And what are the beliefs that go with it? And then what you do is you take that small picture and whap, quick as you can, in your mind, you put it up there and you staple it, you fix it. You just say to your unconscious mind, what can I learn from this? But because it's so different and so good, it stays there. Awesome process. What I can do, if you wish, I can go through that in more detail. But these are just ways you can play. But I would love to do an episode maybe on just changing submodalities, the way you see the world, literally, or how you remember people and think of people. I use that process so many times for either grief or people who've come out of relationships and still have that negative attachment to their ex. And every time they think of that person, they get those really bad feelings and it stops them moving on to different relationships. So maybe that's something you'd like. Let me know by email. The old email is, and it's the old and the new and everything else, feedback@personaldevelopmentunplugged.com. Do that. Let me know. Oh, yes, Paul, I'd love to hear that thing about letting go of exes and things like that. We'll go through it. It's easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Anyway, that was number 3. What's number 4, Paul? Well, number 4 is sometimes if you just think of counterexamples when you've been confused about something or whether something you haven't made progress on and then you did, or stuff that you just made progress on. It was good. It was safe. It was comfortable and you got your results. And as you think of those, again, you might even have pictures in your mind. That might help you to change those pictures from I've called it hashtag number 3, one of those key 3 we'll call it. But just giving yourself counterexamples of when you've been able to get through feeling of confused or things not happening fast enough for you, as it were for me, or if you don't know what to do next, and times when you had that issue and you did it, you got through it. Because then you can start to imagine what it felt like. And you start thinking, that's the one. That felt really, what did I believe in myself? Maybe it's things like, well, there's always a way. I'll find it. And you can think to yourself, and the thing is, when you think to yourself, guess who's listening in? Guess who's always, and this is not a generality, this is a fact. Who is always listening in to your inner dialogue and looking at the pictures in your mind and feeling those feelings? It's your unconscious mind. So as soon as you start remembering, you're going to have that internal representation, that picture in your mind. You're going to generate the feelings. And you're also going to generate that physiology just by thinking about times in the past, the counterexamples, the complete opposite. And your unconscious mind, you can even say, compare the two. What would be better? How can I use this to get over the way I'm feeling right now, to get what I want? Because here's what I want. And you have to start thinking about it. Now, what you can do as you do this, you think of that counterexample. And what did it feel like? Maybe it felt exciting. Maybe it felt a bit of determination. Maybe there was some confidence there. Whichever it was, just think about it for the moment. And then take that old feeling. Well, don't take it anywhere, actually. It's just a term and not good communication, Cloughie. Become aware of that negative feeling that you've got. And I want you to notice which way it turns, which way it spins, because every feeling spins in a direction, whether it's clockwise, counterclockwise. It will always move in a circle because they do. And when it stops moving, you don't feel it anymore. And another feeling will come in, and that will be in another place in your physiology, and that will start spinning, and it takes over, and that's a new feeling. Now, here we go. What would happen? I'll tell you what happens, and I'm going to show you what happens. But just think about this, because I like asking questions, because when I ask you a question, really asking your unconscious mind to listen to and imagine and consider what would happen if you, knowing that direction of spin from your negative feeling and that limiting belief, what would happen if you understood what color it was and slowed down that spin? So it got slower and slower and then stopped. Just consider what you think might happen. Well, the feeling would die down, wouldn't it? And then what would happen is, say you were to begin to spin it in the opposite direction and give it the color that represents the color of that counterexample that you found, the feelings of that counterexample. So maybe it was confidence. What color would confidence be? Maybe it was that excitement. What color would that excitement? And actually make it into that color. So it's now spinning in the opposite direction with the color and all the qualities of the outfit. Guess what happens? Well, you just start to feel so much more positive. And then when you're spinning it in that direction with that color, feeling that way, believing differently, then you look at that thing that you want to do or change, or you've been stuck on, you'll be able to find inspiration to do something different. Now, if you want to know more about that one, I've actually done a podcast on it. And you have to go all the way back to hashtag 94. And it's called Let's Get Rid of Fear. Now, you've either got that. It's also in one of my, I go into a lot deeper on one of my programs on, I think it's a confidence program. Not sure if it's a confidence or the actual Release Your Anxiety program. And they're on Paul Cloughie Online. And just as a side to that, have a look at that because it's all changed. The front page, you can find everything on the front page now. And also, there's that free download to just reducing. If you don't get rid of your anxiety, it will bring it down by such a colossal amount. And it's a 15-minute hypnosis track. So have a look at that. It's free, by the way. So and that's on, just go to paulcloughionline.com and you'll see everything there. It's awesome. Anyway, what else can you do? Because we've done 4. I bet you can't remember them all, but guess what? I will recap. But anyway, number 5. And this one is again, these are all simple. All you have to do is do it. And that's the thing. If you're just going to sit here, and I've done it as well, I've sat and listened to something and thought, what a great thing to do. Oh, it's a bit simple though. But did I do it? I know about it. Oh, yeah, I even sometimes say, well, I know that. And then a little voice on my shoulder goes, yeah, but Cloughie, are you doing it? Knowing and doing are 2 different things. Knowing and doing is the thing. Then you start to get your mastery. We'll talk about that another day. Anyway, but here's the thing. If you just sit back and just review, as it were, how far have you come on that particular project? Maybe go back even before that project was even conceived in your mind. Where were you then? What were your skills? What was your understanding? What was the beliefs that you had about yourself? And where are you now? How far have you come? How much have you learnt? How has it affected your life in the positive? And as you start to think of that, you get a feeling of gratitude. Can't help but get feeling grateful for all the things that have happened to you. And the thing about this is, who was responsible for that? Well, you were. No one else. No one made you do anything. And even if they pushed you in the room or put their earphones on or gave you that book, you still had to take responsibility. I'd say that again. You still had to take responsibility for carrying out those actions and doing it. So be grateful for you and your resilience, your determination, your curiosity, your skill of learning. Doesn't matter whatever speed it was. Look how far you have come. And when you get that feeling of gratitude, you might say to yourself, well, I've come a long way. What can I learn from this? And as I think about what I can learn from all the steps I've made along the way, maybe think back to those plateaus. Maybe think about those times when you've suddenly had that aha moment from confusion to pure clarity. You could start to think, well, what can I learn from this? And as I think about what can I learn, what could you learn from this at the conscious and unconscious level? I'm speaking to you, the unconscious mind. What can you learn from this? And as you do that, just begin to maybe get curious about what would be a better emotion to have right now. What would be a better belief to attach to that emotion? And then thinking about the pictures that we make in our mind, what would happen? Knowing now, bringing to mind what you really want as an end, a goal, that aim in mind. If you were to just stop and make sure you have nothing that needs your attention right now, because you can stop and close your eyes. So if you need anything that needs your attention, do not do this. But you can just close your eyes and begin to see yourself over there, tackling that issue, getting curious, learning, accessing everything you have ever known, consciously and unconsciously. Imagine what it'd be like for that you over there with your unconscious mind accessing everything that you've known, forgotten, re-remembered, unremembered, and having access to those skills, behaviors, positive emotions, positive and supporting beliefs, those values, all the experiences of the past, all condensed into you getting that result. And notice how good that you over there feels. And then, as you really just notice how they walk, how they're moving, you can have that connection with them. And whether you see it in 20/20 vision or just aware that they're there, that doesn't matter. Anywhere in that spectrum is perfect. And just notice how you feel about them, that you over there, achieving that goal, going through the steps. Yeah, maybe a little trip up now and again, but seeing them overcome, going through their individual hero's journey on this individual project, this thing, and notice them beginning to succeed and how it affects them. Maybe they're beginning to think of all the opportunities that it's going to bring to them. And as you do that, maybe begin to welcome them into you and merge and allow all the learnings to really and fully integrate within you. And just know this or something better. And as you do that, just for a moment, and it's only for a moment, imagine your timeline of the future that stretches way out there. Imagine it to begin to tilt slightly downwards, just a little bit, not a lot, just below horizontal, just maybe 1 degree. And begin to feel how easy now it is to travel along your future timeline, just for a moment, so you begin to get that momentum. So you begin to use all these skills, all these learnings, that wonderful internal representation, the emotions, the physiology, and it all begins to get so exciting. It begins to get a little faster and a little faster. And as you imagine the feeling of that momentum, you can bring that timeline and put it back to where it should be, or where it feels most comfortable. But keep that feeling of that momentum. And maybe your unconscious mind can attach it now to all those learnings, all those skills. Knowing what you want, understanding why you want it, the why, your value. And as you do that, just open your eyes. And notice, as you open your eyes, there's a big breath. Everyone looks at it. In fact, just put your hands up in the air and shout, "Yay, Cloughie! The Personal Unplugged podcast is awesome." Really loud. I bet you didn't. I would have. No. Well, yeah, I don't know. That's a lovely way of going through those confidence or negativity things where you just do things which are completely weird and you go through that little fear factor. Anyway, that would have been good. Anyway, there we go. So there's 5 keys. Was there 5, Paul? I think there was 5. Can you remember them? What was number 1? Let's just review. What was number 1? A tumbleweed goes by. Whoosh. Number 1 was stop and pause. Take a break. Take a break and do something completely different. Ideally, do something physical. Change your physiology. Whether it's just getting up and doing some jumping jacks. Imagine you are wearing a Superman cape. Have a look for that. That's a great 5-minute quickie. And I think it's something like just put Superman and see what happens in your search. You'll find it. If I can find it, I'm going to tell you about it. But change your physiology. Do something physical just for a few moments. That will get you going. But remember, just before that, what did we do? We just said, just acknowledge the way you're feeling. Just acknowledge it. This is me. I'm not fighting you. Not accepting that it's okay, but I'm just acknowledging this is the way I feel at the moment. I feel confused. I feel frustrated. I feel angry about this. I feel an imposter. Whatever it is, okay. That's what it is now. I know what I'm working with. So first of all, before we got to the 5 keys of this particular thing, was just acknowledge how you feel. Maybe acknowledge where you want to go. And then stop, pause, take a breath. Do something completely different. Anything, but make it physical if you can. That was 1. Number 2, we said, just realize this may be a plateau. It may be something to look forward to, just to wait a moment, a day. Do something differently. But just wait, allow things to integrate, to settle. That was number 2. So realize there's maybe a plateau and you're going to use it as a springboard. That's the most important thing about realizing things are plateaus. We're not going to give up and stop. We're going to wait to get that springboard to move. Then we said number 3 was maybe I'm feeling confused, overwhelmed. I'm frustrated, angry. I've got that limiting belief. I'm an imposter. I don't deserve this. We said, what is the picture in your mind? Where is it outside of you? Because quite frankly, when I think about that, do I have a picture? Oh, there it is, over there. Just notice how big it is, the qualities of it. We're not going into the actual content of the picture. We just want to know the qualities. How big is it? Is it square, round? Is it colour? Is it black and white? Is it movie? Is it still? Does it have any sounds attached to it? Does it have any feelings? And generally the feelings are the ones you've just been feeling. Angry, frustrated, confused, or whatever it is. And then think of what is something that when I think about it, I'm not confused. I've got total clear clarity. Maybe I'm really curious, or maybe it's something that I've just moved on and I know with 100% certainty is going to be good. I'm going to really look forward to it. And notice if when you think about that particular thing, do you have a picture of it? Oh, there it is, big. Take the small, it might not be small yours. Take that first one, the negative picture, change it and put it in the same place as that wonderful picture. Same size. Change the qualities of that picture to be the same as that other one, the second one. Change the sounds to make the second one and get those great feelings. Change from frustration to angry to imposter into those wonderful feelings of either excitement, I can do this, or for me, it was crystal clear clarity and curiosity and excitement. Boom. And then get to work. So that was number 3. Number 4, we said, get some counterexamples. Counterexamples of when you've done that. And that was like that picture that we just made, wasn't it? The picture of my crystal clear clarity. That's a counterexample. And when you do that, how did that feel? What were the real feelings? Just describe the feelings. Where is that feeling in your body and things like that so you understand it. That's brilliant. And then you go, well, what's that old feeling? The old feeling that I had. Maybe it's gone already, just thinking about it. But it's the feeling I have is frustration, maybe that anger, that you know those ones. And we said, notice which way it moves, because it moves in a circular direction. They all spin it in with a particular speed. And slow it down. Understand which way it moves. Sometimes you put your finger and your hand in front of your body and just move your hand. It will start to find that direction. Slow it right down. And once you've slowed it to a stop, you begin to turn it the other way, to spin it faster in the opposite direction and give it the colour of that wonderful counterexample. And notice how different you feel, and then get on. And I did say, if you go to hashtag episode 94, how to let go or get rid, I think it's called Let's Get Rid of Fear. That's a nice one to listen to. That will really explain that. And there's also a hypnosis track on the hypnosis, all the episodes or hypnosis tracks associated with the episodes of this podcast are all at paulcloughonline.com/podcast. Go there. They're all there. And you'll see that hypnosis track 94.2. You'll be able to use it there. So even if you didn't say, I didn't quite understand that, Cloughie, it's all there for you. Just go to paulcloughonline.com/podcast. Here's that little 90 seconds about hypnosis right now. So, the 90 seconds of hypnosis tracks. Why have I put hypnosis tracks on a separate website? Well, it's so simple really. I wanted you to have them all in one place so you can look through them all. You can find the particular one you want. I've even made them downloadable so you can put them on any of your playing devices that you prefer. You don't need Wi-Fi, you don't need the iTunes or whatever. You can put them anywhere you like. You can even burn them onto disk if you want. Where do you get them? Well, there you go. I told you it's paulcloughonline.com/podcast. If you're worried about your email address, please don't be, because they stay totally safe with me. I only use them to send you out that email and give you access. Simple as that. I send you a link, a special link, so you and only you can access those hypnosis tracks, because I want them just for you. And the other thing about this is you've taken responsibility. I don't want to make these open to everyone, just random. You have taken responsibility to listen and be part of this community of personal development. And I want to help you. I want to help you personally to get your dreams, your goals. And therefore, I'm giving you these tools, these protocols, these paradigms, whatever you want to call them, but in deep hypnosis. So just enjoy. Have more fun than you can stand with hypnosis. And we also said, also go to Paul Clough Online to see all the different programs, because there'll be something there to help you change that stuff. We've got Supreme Inner Confidence and let go of your anxiety, and that free hypnosis track to reduce your anxiety in 15 minutes. It's all there. That's what we said. And then we went from number 4 to number 5, which was just simply to review how far you've come. Go back a year, 2 years, however far you want to go back, and notice all the things you've learned, all the successes you've had, everything you've done in a wonderful way, and get to feel the gratitude for you for being able to do that, having done that, taking responsibility to learn. And then ask yourself the question, what can I learn from all of that What would be now a better emotion? Think about counterexamples now, aren't we? A better emotion to have to deal with this. What would be a better behavior to have? What would be a better and more appropriate belief to have? And then we said to visualize it out there, that you over there. And I did a little process, didn't I? And then we just tilted down that future timeline of yours just for a moment or two to give you that little bit of inertia, that little bit of a roll down a hill to get the momentum. And then what did we do? We reviewed. And that's where we are right now. So, I'm having fun. I hope you are. Or maybe it's just me and I'm all by myself in my head having fun, which is a place to be, I guess. If you're going to have fun, have it inside your head. And then it'll come out on the outside, won't it? Because it'll be that picture you make in your mind, because it's a lovely feeling you have and your physiology changes and everyone gets to win-win. Well, that's it for now. All about struggling and changing, and all about a webinar that I did all started from thinking about what I had to talk about in a webinar for my son's Joseph Clough's. I'll give him a little big shout for Joseph Clough's mastermind. And just you search for Joseph and you'll find it. Does lots of stuff. In fact, I will have been on one of his podcasts by now. I'll tell you about that as well. Anyway, do have more fun than you can stand. I'm going to tell you some more stuff after this. I'll even introduce you to a past episode that might just either trigger your memory, or maybe you weren't here when it came out, and it will tell you all about this kind of stuff I was doing earlier and how much there's so much variation, diversity, what we've got here. All here to help you. So that's what so please do stay on. I know your time is valuable and we've had a whale of a long time here, but your time is valuable and I'm so grateful for that. But if you just stick around for maybe 2 or 3 minutes and you'll learn so much more. But until the next time, my friend, you'll hear from me real soon. Enjoy every heartbeat. Hey, just before you go, a little bit we call housekeeping, I guess, because I'd love you if you did enjoy this and you've learnt something from it, or it's made a little difference, or there's a little golden nugget. Please, if you would you share it with people you know, maybe some people that you don't know, but please pay it forward to share this episode, or just and tell people about the Personal Development Unplugged podcast. It will help them, it will help you, and it will help grow this podcast into, making a difference. So that would be awesome. And just a reminder, have you subscribed? So whatever platform you listen to it, whether it's iTunes, whether it's Castbox, Stitcher, not Stretcher. If you would, just press that subscribe button. Again, that helps with getting people to know the popularity of this podcast. And also, if you could, I know it takes a few minutes, but on that platform, if you could just see where it says add a comment or add a review, it would be awesome if you could. I know it takes a bit of time. I'm grateful for your time already. If you could just take that little bit extra time, that would be great. And before we go, I'm going to just leave you with an intro from way back. It was August in 2019 where I did an episode on imposter syndrome. I think it's #145 imposter syndrome. Have a listen to this. If it's something that you didn't listen to, it might be of interest to you now. If you did listen to it, it might be something that just to be good to remind yourself of. So please have a listen to this, and if it sparks your interest, have a look back in that catalogue for #145 imposter syndrome. Anyway, it's here, and after that, we'll be gone. Hey people of the Personal Unplugged variety, Paul here. Longer podcast, 2 parts, all about beating imposter syndrome. And it's not beating it, it's actually just changing it. Changing your behaviours, changing your emotions so you can be a success in any environment. in any group of people, in any context. Big enough for you? Yeah. Have a listen.
Warning, you are now leaving the unplugged mind of Paul Cloughie. It's time to fly on your own. Be brave, my friend.
Personal Development Unplugged.